chili. Start off medium heat. I use a cast iron pan, so I always add a little bit of olive oil in the bottom, about a teaspoon, to help make it easier to clean the pan because food won't stick with that hot oil in there. So I heat that oil up. And it's also a quick way to caramelize onions. So I'm going to roll this around on the bottom. Nice even layer. So we add one full onion. You can cut back if you don't like that much onion. And if I'm quiet, you can hear that the oil's hot enough that the onions are popping a little bit because of the moisture. And the way I get them to steam up real quick, about 2 tablespoons of water. The oil is hot. Oil and water does not mix. So it's going to steam like a real son of a gun. So you get your lid ready to put over there, and you quickly add the water and put the lid on. And it's popping like popcorn. Wait for it to quiet down. Just wait a little bit more. Now it's calmed down a little bit. And we'll try and get those so that they lose all that white that onions have. Turn a little bit translucent. Wait another minute here. Try and get that to heat up. And okay. Well, I also like my bell peppers to be cooked. A green bell pepper. So I'll just go ahead and add that in now. And we'll check back on this here. Make sure there's still enough oil in there. It's not sticking to the bottom of the pan. We'll give that about a minute and we'll add our hamburger. Okay, nice and steamed. Release a lot of moisture from out of the green pepper there, so that helps stop it from sticking on the bottom. And now we'll take and add the 2 pounds of beef, and just throw it in and use a spatula to start breaking it up. And break it apart with your hand if you want. And we'll start stirring this up so that the meat gets down to the bottom. And you can add your spices and let that cook in. I add a little bit of meat tenderizer. I don't know why I do that with hamburger, but I do just a little bit. Just, of course, a habit. And with the oregano, I like to put it in my hand. And oregano's a mild seasoning, so you don't have to worry about being really exact. And just add that in there. And I grow my own mint, and mint can be a little bit strong, so if you're working with mint you want to go a little bit lighter. Then chili powder. Yep, that may be too much. Big holes, new container. You want to add chili powder in several steps once we get the liquids in here. And that way we can make sure it's not too hot. So we'll just keep stirring this here until we get the ground beef to cooking. And then we'll start adding the other ingredients. The hamburger is cooked. I don't see any more red or pink whenever I stir it up. So I know the meat's cooked. And that's what I'm always kind of afraid of. There's just a little bit, but now we're ready to add the tomato sauce. Add the sauce in there. That's going to add a little bit of liquid. And to clean it out, I use a butter knife. Yes, a spatula could work better, but use a butter knife to get that out. And there's always a little bit left in. And what I now we got stewed tomatoes, and they use some herbs to cook it, so that's kind of nice. And I like to drain the liquid out because stewed tomatoes, they're in big chunks. So we'll drain some of the juice out of this. Kind of push it down at an angle and squeeze it. See how that fluid coming up there. Get the most of it out of there. Take the lid out. Gets a little bit messy on the fingers sometimes. I have a dull knife that I use from camping. It's a military grade thing, but any knife you are willing to sacrifice, because I'm going to cut it, I'm going to press the edge against the can. So don't use a good knife. Buy a steak knife, something like that. Something you're willing to sacrifice, an old paring knife. You want just to be pieces that you won't get one big chunk of tomato whenever you go to eat your chili. This is just one can. We'll do the same thing to the next can. And it looks like that's pretty good. Take it out. Do the same thing to the second can. Let this heat up for a little bit. Added the second can of the tomatoes. And I work slow because we're on medium heat. And the true flavor of chili is when it's being reheated. And because we aren't going to be reheating it that often, a slow cook will help those herbs and spices marinate into the broth and flavor everything. But we want that there to make it blend in and marinate. And now we're going to add our kidney beans. And I hate to give a plug, but I have found that only the Joan of Arc kidney beans make a good chili that I like. They have the flavor and texture of the beans that I like. And I have to go to a store that carry this because my normal store doesn't. But to me, that's the secret to my chili, is those Joan of Arc. And it's 1 16-ounce can. Put that in there. And we'll take and stir this up. We're still on medium heat, but it's enough to get it to steam when we stir it. And then we have all of our ingredients in here now. And we'll just cover this up and give it 5 minutes to work under the lid. Come back, check it. Plenty of fluid in there. We don't have to worry about it drying out. And we'll just keep checking on it every 5 minutes and stirring it until it's nice and steamy hot. Just keep checking it. See, it's in a rolling boil even though it's at medium heat. Now the bubbles are on one side. Move the pan over a little bit so it's bubbling evenly all around. Stir it up. Looks like a nice even mix of everything. That's what I like. You can see it, all the ingredients. And you can get a little bit of the hamburger and the juice and taste it. See if you can taste all the ingredients you've added. The chili powder isn't quite strong enough. I'm going to add a little bit more. Chili powder occasionally has the trick of where it will suddenly kick in all at once. But there's a flavor, a spice, an herb that you don't think you have enough of and you can't taste it, add a little bit more. That's what these here simmering every 5-10 minutes checking. That's what you do, check it. So you try and get a nice flavorful chili when you're done. With all that spices and flavoring need to meld, get into the sauce. So we'll cover this up and check it again a little bit later. Check one more time. It was pretty close the last time. Chili powder kicked in that time. Whoa, feel it in the back of the throat. Hard to swallow. Yeah, that looks really nice. So, now we turn the heat off. Let it sit for about a half an hour. Final phase, letting that marinate. And what you could have been doing between stirrings and tasting, you'll be cleaning up in the kitchen. Avoid leaving the kitchen. That's when things get burned. When you're out of the room and your mind changes focus, that's when you burn what you're cooking. So, just going to let this sit. Cast iron pan is going to take quite a while. That's why it takes a half hour for me. If you're using another pan, it'd be quite less. So we'll let that set, and then we'll talk about that later.